Okay, so we're rolling. Let me just set it up, and remember, I can easily clip the ends. I just can't clip the middle.
Okay.
So go. So,
This is a story of my Uncle Joe, Joseph Popper. He immigrated from Austria to America before World War I. Prior to coming to America, he had been in the Austrian army as a cavalry sergeant. And after he got his first citizenship papers in America, he went back to Austria to pick up his mother and family and bring them back to the United States. Well, just about that time, World War I started. And the Austrian government position, once an Austrian, always an Austrian. So he was drafted or semi-enlisted in the Austrian army and was sent to the Russian front in Siberia to fight the Russians. Well, the Russians was far more numerous than the Austrians, and it was a long battle, and finally he was captured by the Russians. And then he worked doing all sorts of things for the prison, and one day everything, all the guards were gone. And that's when the Russian Revolution first took place, and the Reds and the Whites were fighting, and they didn't care about the prisoners. So he and a group went all the way across Siberia back to Europe so they could come back to the United States. This gentleman lived a very, very interesting life. One time, in about 1939 or 40, he came to visit, or it was later than that, excuse me, about 1950, he came to visit my family up in Utica from New York, where he lived, and he saw in the paper that Mohawk Airlines had a flight to New York, and he had never flown before, so he elected to get a ticket on the Mohawk Airlines from Mohawk Utica Airport to New York City. We all went out to wish him goodbye. The plane took off and crashed on takeoff. We raced over to where the plane had crashed, and there was Uncle Joe standing there saying, "Welcome, Al." He got out of the plane, and of course he went to the hospital with some burns, but he lived a wonderful life and was a great uncle. I hope this story is interesting to you. Thank you.
I have a question. When they came back across Siberia, he and this group of people who had been prisoners, how did they get from Siberia back to their home country? Did they walk? Did they ride horses? How did they
Everything,
do that?
everything.
Everything?
Didn't it take a couple years?
Yes, they even lived in some of the, with some of the, they were in between the white and the reds. So one day they were living with the whites, and the next day they were living with the reds, and the armies were fighting. They didn't care about the prisoners.